Having me, I want to share with you a very small Devar Torah in honor of the center, the founders, and the supporters. The Torah says, Torah sivalanu Moshe morasha kehilat Yaakov. The Torah that was given to us by Moshe is the inheritance, the legacy of the Jewish people. But the Gemara says, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Al tikra morasha ela meorasa. Do not read morasha, legacy, inheritance, but read it meorasa. What does it mean, meorasa? Meorasa means fiancé. The lady you are engaged to, a girlfriend. So we have these two visions on the same pasuk. One that sees Judaism as a legacy, and one that sees Judaism as your partner. If we want to understand these two visions that are so important, we should think of Judaism as a woman. So in the first opinion, Judaism is a mother. In the second opinion, Judaism is your girlfriend or your boyfriend. What's the difference between the mother and the girlfriend? Very simple. Your mother, legacy, your inheritance, you will never abandon your mother. You love your mother no matter what. Your mother doesn't need to look attractive for you to love her. You will never divorce her. Your mother is not a choice. Your mother is your inheritance. You will love her. I will never leave her. But when we talk about meorasa, your girlfriend, then we talk about something completely different. Then a girlfriend is a choice. Then a girlfriend you can choose, and you can leave, and you can abandon, and you can choose somebody else, or you can choose to have no girlfriend at all. So we have two models, two visions of what Judaism is. Is it a mother or a girlfriend? Is it something we inherit or something we choose? The $1 million question is, what is Judaism today for our youth? It is a given that we will be always sure that our youth will never choose Judaism no matter how they see it, or we have to be competitive and present Judaism in the best possible way. Because unlike the mom, the girlfriend, she has to look her best, she has to dress her best, she has to behave her best, she has to have charm, and she has to have style, and she has to have elegance to capture the attention of the boy. So what is Judaism today? And I think that those who found this center had a very clear idea of how Judaism should be presented. Our Chachamim told us that we can never take for granted that Judaism is a mother. We have to present it always in the best possible way. In our schools, presenting Judaism in the most attractive way. In our synagogues, our rabbis, we have to do our best to present Judaism with charm and with beauty. And I think that the center represents this vision because it was founded and it was thought always with the top quality, the highest level of attractiveness, because we are investing in the most important thing. We have to think of Judaism and whatever we offer as an institution that has to conquer our youth. We have to be competitive because we are competing for the most important thing, the heart and the souls of our children. Thank you very much.
I was going to say the same thing, but he said it so much better. The center is going through spectacular times. Each department, from youth services to senior adult programs, are at all-time highs. Close to 10,000 individuals used our center this year, a record high. We have 600 families that we're helping through financial assistance in the community. And we work with nearly every community agency to identify and address the community's needs. Our partners include Sephardic Bikur Cholim, the SCA, Imagine Academy, Magen David Yeshiva, Yeshiva Flatbush, Barkai Yeshiva, Propel Network, which now has an office in the building, the Mars Franco Cancer Center, and the UJA. To give you a sense of the scope, I have some of our most notable programs numbers. The senior citizens programs we ran this year totaled 120 programs, including 11 ongoing exercise classes with 30 trips and a Master Artisans program, which is a bi-weekly crafts class, which would not be here without the very hard push and fundraising of Gladys Haddad. Our older adults and social services serve about 650 people through nearly 280 programs, classes, and events throughout the year. Our Women's Center, Culture Club, ran 20 trips and programs with 225 participants. Our Social Services Department offers support groups for caregivers and bereaved parents, a social club for widows, and a social club for retired men. We host health seminars and a vital program named BrainWorks for those living with Alzheimer's and dementia. It's important to remember that the center's programs serve every generation of our community under this very roof. The center's early childhood program is busting at the seams, with 156 kids enrolled this year. We also ran 8 singles events, where nearly 3,000 people attended, and we're up around what? How many marriages? Gladys, you might know that, but 100, over 300 marriages. Our 18 teen events served 1,450 teens, and we provided a great summer camp experience for children in Brooklyn, with 440 of the kids in camp receiving scholarship assistance that allowed them the same opportunities as their peers. So much, if not all of this, can be credited to the leadership of Gladys Haddad, who is brilliant and poised and friendly and caring, as well as cunning and sharp and energetic, and a vicious defender for what is right over what's wrong. I can really go on for hours, but there are others that want a chance to praise Gladys. So I will now turn the mic over to our esteemed past president and continued backbone of the center, Joey Jerome.
So I want to dial back about 40 years. People leaving Brooklyn. They thought that this borough was gone, we're all going to deal, and some trailblazers decided to build this building. My father Morris, Stanley Chira, a whole host of young men at the time that turned the tide, and people started to realize Brooklyn is not going to be over, and we should stay here. And whoever went, we tried to come back. But the center was always run by women. The men may have done the fundraisers and the things that they had to do, but it's always been an empowerment for women. They run the programs, they know what our community wants, whether it be in early childhood or youth programs. We've always had that, the backbone of the women of the community. Started way back with Gita, Sultan Avashalom, Joy Cabasso, Shifra Hannon, Francine DeWeck, a whole host of women that really that gave of themselves and proved that, you know, the power of the women to make this building and this institution a success. So as trailblazers as we were, who better than to have the first woman president, Gladys Haddad. Not an easy job. Gladys was very busy with Mac and David, running a retail store, running a family, and doing a host of other things on so many other committees. When we approached her, I said, oh, this is a 50-50 chance that she'll take it. But when we met with her, Jack, Harry, and I, she embraced it. And she wanted to know everything that she had to know to be successful. That's 6 years of presidency when we first started it. And through the 6 years, I mean, the conversations that I had with you every single day, asking, okay, how does this run? What's the process? What should we do? I'm sure the same conversations were had with Jack. And all you wanted to do was to make sure this institution was the best it can be. So, words to describe you, I wrote it down, but I don't need it. Dedication, compassion, kind, always seeking to do the right thing, as Joey said. Not only for the community institution that you're involved in, but for everybody that's involved, whether it be our staff who, they made the food themselves today, Gladys, because of their connection with you and how you treated them with such respect and made them feel so good. Our volunteers, we are here today because of what you did in encouraging the volunteers, because they don't have to do it. They did it because you made them feel special and made them feel an integral part of everything that we do here. So it's to your credit that we are where we are today. Talk about staff, we've had a tumultuous time, and you were there. When we didn't have an executive director, you were there. When we didn't have somebody in a volunteer position, you were there. You really gave your all and then some. I don't think there has been a better president than you. So now here we are. You can't believe that this is happening, that you didn't know. But I just want you to know from everybody that's here and everybody that you've touched, the thousands of people that you've touched, you've encouraged people to take it to the next step. I mean, following the footsteps of the women that are here, like I said. I forgot Helen Shammer as well. But it's a testament to who you are and the families you come from. I mean, between the Haddad family and the Casson family, I mean, they are the top families in our community, and you exemplify all the good that comes out of that union of those two families. So, without any further ado, we want to show you a little video. It never works. Sorry, get the lights.
Haddad for the center is very important. They're not doing it for one person or for men or women. They're doing it for the entire community, men and women, children, young and old, and they're doing great benefit for the community as a whole.
You do so much work for the center. You help the kids. Judo and Papa love the center. We always want what's good for the center because we need the center. We need it very badly.
I remember when Gladys called me to ask if she should take the job of being president of the center. And we discussed the pros and the cons. And I think the major thing that was her push and her guiding light was my great-grandfather, Chief Rabbi Casson. We discussed it and we said how much he loved the idea of the center, keeping the community together and united. And that became her mission, was to fulfill his dreams of the center being united and together. And she took upon the role knowing that he would be very proud of her.
One thing that's, to me, amazing about Gladys is that she always has the big picture in mind.
She knows how to bring everyone together in a room and always keeping in mind what's best for the community.
Every decision she makes is for the good of the community. Every act she did was for that, for the kids, for the seniors, to keep everyone together in one safe place.
Gladys, I still remember the night sitting together with you and Joey Jerome several years ago, asking you if you would become president of the center. Little did we know that you'd be one of the best leaders that our community has ever had and the center's ever had.
She did Bikur Halim. She did all the packaging from her house when it was Pudim packaging.
I remember when she was Mag David PTA president, I thought I was the coolest girl in the school because, like, my mom was always there, she was in charge.
I've seen her be involved in personal issues and problems that people have within our community, that behind the scenes she'll be involved in. She'll call the right people to be able to manage it, put it together, bring peace. So the center's a very front and center organization in our community, but there are a lot of things that Gladys does behind the scenes, quietly, effectively, that I've seen her get involved in and bring to a completion over the years.
Gladys gives it her all. She's always involved. She wants to help whenever she can, and I find that things that people don't see is any hour of the day or night she can get a call and be available to anybody anytime.
My mom is ridiculously dedicated to the center. It's her 6th child.
She's talking to me about all what she does at the center, and I'm just so proud of her, you know?
Watching my mom and all that she does for the center and the community has been a major inspiration, and I hope one day I could be half as amazing and as dedicated as she is. It's fun to know everybody knows my mom, and it's like it makes me look up to her and want to be like her and serve the community like she has, even though I can never do as much as she did.
So every day I get home from school, my mom makes sure to put the phone down because she knows we're coming home from dinner.
She lives and breathes the center, but she's also able to live and breathe her family. And regardless of how much she's running around and how much she's doing, there's always an amazing dinner on the table. She's always driving us to and from wherever we need to be. She's there for us, she's there for the center, and she's just everywhere at the same time. She's like a superhero.
To me, you are a superwoman. For as long as I could remember, since we're kids, you've always been a doer and a giver, constantly giving of yourself to our entire community with love and always a smile. Actually, not a smile, always a laugh, and the best, most positive attitude. I love you so much. You're an inspiration to all of us. You're a true leader, and I'm so proud of you.
Her devotion is really from the heart, because nobody could put that much effort into something and not feel it from the heart.
Everything she does is first class, and with a great heart and sense of humor.
As a community member, I want to thank you for everything you did. And as a brother, I wanted to say how proud I am of you and everything that you did. Last year, we worked on one program together. I was amazed how much time and how much effort and how meticulous you were just in this one program. I can only imagine what it takes to run every single program that goes on in the center on a daily basis.
She did a great project with the Israeli Defense Force. She had a beautiful program, full attendance, beautiful video. And I think that night there was a lot of warmth and love and unity in the room. And everyone kept saying, that's what the center's all about.
The center definitely grew under Gladys. If you go there on a Sunday at 12:30, which I try to avoid, you'll see piles and piles of kids just piling into the center.
If the building could talk, I would have a lot to say. I'm there once a week at least, and you see when you walk into the building smiles on people's faces. You hear the footsteps, the running, the clattering from the ages 80 and up down to 8 months old.
Gladys really dedicated herself tremendously. She's just an amazing, amazing personality. She led the center for 6 years, I believe it was, and I can't believe she did it. It's really, truly amazing.
If you look at her family, her sisters, her brothers, every one of them, her parents, all always giving back, always helping people personally, one-on-one, confidentially. They really are amazing, amazing group.
What do I think of when I think of Gladys Haddad Casson? I think leader. No task is too daunting for her. She's a doer and she takes it upon herself to get things done. She's a true trailblazer, the first female president of the center, and she'll, foray into territories that others may shy away from.
As being on the board with her, you can't imagine the way she commanded a room, commanded the board.
She became very approachable as a president. Because she was a woman, many subjects that weren't able to be addressed, she was able to address and to conquer.
I look at Gladys, and I imagine the imahot. I imagine that inner strength, the ability to be able to build family, and to care about the greater community.
We see throughout Jewish history how Hashem empowered the women with certain wisdom to continue the Jewish nation spiritually, physically, and I think Gladys is a very big link in that chain.
My dad's very supportive and always understanding when my mom will come home late sometimes because of a meeting or be on the phone handling things for the center and different events.
If she needs someone to drive the kids, well, he was part of the dedication, and I can't say she could have been president without him by her side, because it doesn't work with one person.
And I want to also acknowledge Richard because he allowed her to reach her potential as president and to take on the first woman president for the center. And I think, believe it or not, I believe in the community.
Richard is selfless in everything that he does.
Of course, she's gotten very involved in accelerating a lot of the sports programs.
She's concerned about the senior citizens.
It encompasses everybody from from seniors to young adults to kids to Little League, exercise. It's everybody under there, and she cares so much about everyone.
She's made alliances with the schools as well, as far as enrollment.
She was always concerned with people getting together and meeting. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, people were talking about a singles crisis, and she was on it. She did everything she could to have people meet.
So I think that Gladys has worked very hard to make the center a place where it's cool to get together.
Just the same way that Papa and Jiddo have their list of weddings that they make, Gladys probably has a list of weddings that the center makes.
A signature part of her involvement has been how many people have gotten married from the center.
So she's always talking about her singles events, they go on trips, how many couples she made from that trip, and
She's always talking about the young adults events and the trips. She wants everyone to be together, involved in the center. She loves that stuff.
I know for the teens, with regard to what might lead to marriages, I think that's an area that's very close to home for her, for Gladys in particular.
Gladys and I had been friends for a while. We dated for a while, and then we broke up for a long while. So we went on the trip. We got to see each other, on that weekend. The center trips away are really great. It's like a little cocoon. The second to last day of the trip, she broke her arm skiing, and she had a very positive outlook. So I saw that. I said, you know what? Even in adversity, she could be a very positive influence, and to live life like that, that's the woman you want to get married to.
She gets very excited about which couples come out of it, who ends up meeting who, and she gets such an excitement when they call her a few months later and they said, we met on the trip and we're getting married.
She made it this is something important. We don't have to just let our teenagers go. We need to show them that we care. We want them to be together. Our community is important, that we have to stay together.
She's always concerned, where's the trip for the center going to be? San Francisco, Dublin, Prague. It's always on her mind.
She always, pushed me to go on the single center trips. And then I met my husband at actually the reunion.
If I had to describe my wife in one word, it would be energizing.
One word to describe Gladys is dedicated.
if I had one word to describe my mother, it would be top.
Giving. She's only happy when she gives.
Caring, giving.
Passionate.
I'm going to say powerful.
Powerful.
Strength.
Fearless. Vivacious.
Gladys is a woman of many words, many talents. It's hard to sum it up in one word.
One word?
Amazing.
One word, Angel. Charlie's angel.
I would say that if she wanted to have a one-on-one with an individual, I think she would do it with the President of the United States.
I guess Donald Trump.
It would be Donald Trump.
I think she would choose Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. She could teach him a thing or two.
One thing that Gladys would bring with her on a deserted island. Okay.
On the deserted island, what should we bring? It would be a lot of things.
I hope it's me.
Everyone should just get people to join her.
If Gladys had to bring one thing to an island, she would bring her prayer book.
Sidur.
It would be a Tehillim book.
One thing she would bring with her on a deserted island. I think a Sidur.
I'm going to say Sidur.
A tzedakah box.
One thing she'd bring with her on a deserted island would be Sari, 100%.
It's true. It would be me.
If my mom had to bring one thing onto a deserted island, it would probably be Sari.
Richard.
Richie.
She'll bring a treadmill because she always runs.
Part of the center, and we could never live without you. Never. So there's not much, there's not anything that's sufficient to give you for all that you've done. But I'm sure this is something you will treasure, because your great-grandfather, we played the video all the time, and he said the center is the most holy place. And it was such a strong force that Mars can tell you more about for the opening the center and everything he did for us. So this is something I think you'll treasure. It says, presented to Gladys Haddad in recognition and sincere appreciation of the distinguished service, selfless dedication, and valued leadership, Sephardic Community Center, October 2018.
Gladys, coming up, Gladys. You know, you got all the accolades that you deserve, right? Yes, but I have some bad news for her family. She is not retiring. She's not going anywhere. She's taking a step down and having new leadership, which she's going to be mentoring. She'll always be there to be that energy, that beautiful smile. That she really is a special person. First, she's a good manager. Being nice and is great. Smiling and energetic is great, but you have to have management skills. This is an institution. We just was bringing up that there's 8,000 members. There's not a community in our community that has half that. It's a 7-day-a-week job, right? And it entails knowing every aspect of our community. So it starts with the ability and the intelligence and the management skills to get it done. Everything else that we got was just an absolute pleasure and a home run for us. So Gladys, you made an impact. You know, we were talking in America of having our first lady president. So we beat them. We had our first, we really did. This is the first lady president in our community, and really, I don't think we could have picked anyone in the community, any woman in the community that better meets that role. So thank you very much for the work. And I want to reinforce for those who don't know, right? When we began this project, we're a group of young guys. We were young at the time, and that's almost 40 years ago, because it was the late 70s when we started. We would not have done this project without the consent and the support of Rabbi Jacob Casson. The first thing when we were approaching it and we talked about it, we all said, and I said, we're not moving anywhere without his support. And not only did he give us the support, some of you, we have to really do a film about the initiative. I really want to do that because it's something special. But there was a moment in time that we tried to capture. So we went to Rabbi Casson's house and we started to talk to him about the project. He stopped us He sent someone upstairs to get a checkbook. I know, Jake, I know you know this story. And he said, make it out. I forgot what it was. I don't know, it was $100 or $1,000. And he said, and this is your first pledge, and I bless it, and you should go forward. And he made another statement. I know today's, but he made another statement. It's your obligation to keep our children together. That was the whole purpose of opening it. Originally, this was a youth center. Of course, it changed into a real, major social service agency, maybe one of the best in the world. And to have it finished off, I mean, not finished off, but have the president be a great-granddaughter, that's right, of our chief rabbi who made it possible to go forward is just a great event. So thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. I always thought I knew everything that went on in this building, and I realized I don't. With much humility, I'll say whatever's coming to my mind. Firstly, very grateful to all of the faces in this room. And okay, so what's coming to my mind, it's interesting. Yesterday I get these weekly parasha newsletters, and we're entering the parasha Vayera. And it says that Abraham, he sees guests coming to his tent, and he stops what he's doing right away in order to cater to their needs, right? And it's interesting, I thought of the center. All of us in the room, especially those who volunteer and work at the center, we consider the center our second home. And all of you know that you drop everything in order to welcome every single community member and cater to their needs. And it was very appropriate. Just yesterday I read it. Something else that I read that reminded me of the center and about us as a group. They say that Abraham, he was the leader of the Jewish nation. And the question was, why is it Abraham, right? We had Noah, we had Adam, we had so many other biblical figures before. And they said because Abraham understood his mission as a Jew and as a person that's going to start the Jewish nation. He had and he understood the idea of collective responsibility, right? Noah, he saved his family and whoever, he needed to save, and that was it. But Abraham, he advocated for the people. He believed in the people. And he understood this is going to be a Jewish thing. We have to care about each other. We have to keep everybody together, and we have to have that collective responsibility. So I look around the room, and that's all of you. That's what we're doing together. And it's a very genuine, very pure thing to be part of. I thank you for all the nice things said. And I'll just tell you the truth. I have been so blessed to be part of this family. From the moment that Joey and Jack invited me, and at the time I thought some videos were going to come out and it was going to be a practical joke. But it is true, Frida, what you said, that Jadot's face was right there staring at me. And I said to myself, I owe so much to the center. I met my husband at the center, what it does for the community that I love. And I have to give back. Yet, 6 years later, I still owe the center. And I could, maybe 10 lifetimes worth, and I'll still never be able to thank the center for what it offers me, my children, my husband, this community that I love. And Joey, I'm looking at you. You're the silent hero. How many times we talk on the phone, done so quietly. You let everything be done the right way. You made it easy to be a good person here because you established a certain protocol. And Mr. Morris Bailey, my dream is when we're in the office and I get to learn from you. I'll always think we're going to talk about one thing, and then we end up going into so many different ideas, and such a gift to be able to learn and to get to know you on that level. Jack, you believed in me when I didn't believe in me, and you were just always there for me. You made me a promise. You said, I'll be at every meeting, I'll be there for whatever you need. And in 6 years, you never ever, you did good on your promise. So I thank you for that. To all the people in this room, it's very hard because I have such a personal connection to all of you. I have so much hakarat hatov to all of you. I thank you. I'm looking at Charlie and everybody around me that was so much part of this team, and Joy calling me, and this is wrong, and that's good. And we disagreed, we agreed, whatever it was, we were always a team. Looking at Sari and everybody around the room, I'm thinking of all the meetings we had and all the synergy that had to take place. I will say I owe an enormous amount of gratitude to my parents, my mom and my dad. Because I thought, I grew up like that's what you do, right? You always have to give, and you always have to be concerned, and you know, Daddy always saying take action, and my mother always being the reason of you know, let's solve things in a reasonable way. I still didn't get there your way, but trying. So I owe an enormous amount of gratitude to my parents who have guided me and made it sort of like a way of life for all of us to be involved. And it is true, giving, there's nothing better. I can't explain it. You give, and for some reason you just get so much more back. It brings a lot of substance to a life. It brings a lot of happiness to life. On that note, I'll say I'm very excited that Stephen Hidary has taken the role as the next president. We've come a long way from having a cup of coffee at Starbucks on Route 35 when you didn't even know what the building was. But Stephen has an enormous amount of class, intelligence, brilliance. I learned from you, and that's how I know you're going to be so successful, because what I tried to learn in 6 years, you just got it. And you're a magnet. Everybody's drawn to you. You have an enormous amount of you think and you do things in such a methodical way. So I'm very excited for the next chapter. And I told Ralph Mizrahi tonight, like, pretend you need me. Like, just, you know, maybe give me a little email, Gladys, what do you think? Pretend. In any event, and Joey, of course, we're partners, and I thank you. I thank you for taking the role of CEO. Otherwise, I would have had to do a bad job at it. So with that, I say thank you. Thank you to everybody here. Thank you to my kids, my husband.
Hey, wow, big cracks. Funny that I get to speak after my tenure as the first man. With praise of the former Center President Gladys Haddad. Definitely a first. Most of you know Gladys pretty well. I doubt I'm breaking any new ground here. But I'd like to offer some insights into her time as president. For Gladys, involvement in the center was natural, but much more than that. It was mission. When she was approached about taking on this tremendous responsibility, she was humbled and surprised that the founders and other leaders of the center were thinking of her for this mission. Although she was unsure she could accomplish the task and the goals that would be set, she quickly transitioned into excitement as to what she could accomplish for Gladys, that means setting her own loftier goals. When you think of what her legendary predecessors, a deeply passionate board and dedicated staff have accomplished, it would be hard to imagine she could make much improvement. 6 years later, I can safely say it's been a year of improvement layered upon a solid foundation, and with the incredible support of mentors in Morris Bailey, Joey Jerome, and Jack Carey. Gladys enjoyed her time and her second home at the center and can look back on it as her most exciting role outside of motherhood. I can still envision every time she's told me of another and another wedding created at the center. Most people credit Gladys and I with having met at the center, so I think Gladys was just paying it forward. The transition could never have occurred without her confidence that Stephen Hidary and Joey Towell can take the center to new heights. With all that, we all know that Gladys will stay very involved wherever she is needed at the center, as the center is and will always be near and dear to her heart. Thank you, Gladys, for always putting your family first and your center close behind. The center has been such a powerful force and positive force for my family in particular and our community as a whole. It should continue growing to new heights on the wings of those who have taken it this far and those who follow. Thank you.
Okay, now we have some official business to take care of. So I'm going to read the slate and then we're going to vote on it. So for President, Stephen Hidary. Chairman of the Board, Ricky Novick. Treasurer, David Azar. President Emeritus, Morris Bailey. Oh, yes or no, he's it. Officers, Amy Batesh, Sonia Cabasso, Matthew Dweck, Esther Michon, Harold Scher, Morris Terzi. Board of Directors, Charlie Azar, Jack Carey, Ricky Chira, Debbie Gindi, Gladys Haddad, Shifra Hannon, Joey Jerome, Morris Jerome, Joey Shami, Rochelle Dweck, Renee Braha, Eileen Cabasso, Joy Cabasso, Monique Chira, Maurice Haber, Monique Haddad, Ralph Mizrahi, Helen Shama, Adrian Shami, Nadine Shalom, Albert Tobias, and Talia Tusi. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Let it go into the record. Now, I'd like to introduce all of you to our new president, Stephen Hidary.
Thanks, Sean. I actually tried to abstain, but no one saw my vote. First, I want to thank Gladys. Gladys, you truly led by example. You were always teaching and guiding our board every step of the way with respect, trust, patience, and the right attitude. You epitomize what it means to be a community leader, and you are a true role model. When I accepted this position, Gladys was traveling, I emailed you, I said, I think the most difficult challenge I see is living up to the standard that you set for this job. Thank you. I also want to thank my children, because this morning I had this beautiful card on my nightstand. Happy Speech Day. Dad, don't be shy. I'm generally not a shy person, but I haven't done this in a while, so I'm going to be a bit shy tonight. Hope you bear with me. Since inception, the center has prided itself on bringing together our young adults to socialize and meet. Often overlooked are the marriages established in our early childhood department. About 29 years ago, it was love at first sight. 2 toddlers, Shari Terzi and Stephen Hidary, standing together in the center jungle gym. Here's the picture to prove it. The rest, as they say, is history. So when I was asked to consider the role of presidency, I immediately thought of this picture, which sits in our living room and serves as a constant reminder of how impactful this building and organization has been to our community. But I also began searching for a new motivation that I know would drive me to make a strong commitment towards the job. Like any millennial, I started my search by asking Alexa, Alexa, should I be president of the center? She didn't answer. So I turned to a more realistic source of guidance, our parents. Esther, Jack, Diane, and Abby, for over 30 years, both have set the example for their families, giving and involving themselves in a variety of community organizations and projects. I looked at them and I asked the same question. What do you think? Should I take it on? Not to my surprise, both declined to answer, saying that motivations and inspirations were personal. However, they reminded me that giving back isn't about having your name on a piece of paper or a plaque on the wall, but instead it's about spending time in the boardroom, making meaningful contributions to the cause. Certainly great advice, but not the motivation I was looking for. They actually also told me never to speak longer than 90 seconds. So that one I'm gonna probably not follow tonight, but going forward I'll make sure to take that one to heart. So I turned to a less conventional resources, my 7-year-old daughter Esther, and my 4-year-old son Jack, who I think right away, oh there he is, I thought he was watching the basketball gym before, he loves basketball. And I asked them, should Daddy be president of the center? So thinking I said present, not president, and hearing the word center, they quickly responded, yes, we want birthday parties in the center with presents. Finally, I looked over at Shari. I said, hon, should we do this? We, because as you know, taking on this type of responsibility is certainly a shared commitment. Sensing the mounting pressure to make a decision, she quickly responded, honey, you're overthinking it. If they're going to give you a parking spot, it's a no-brainer. By the way, Shari wanted me to clarify, there is no parking spot. I accepted the position anyway. My search for motivation soon brought me back to 2014, when Gladys, I don't know if you remember, but you sent me an email. You sent me a copy of this community bulletin from December 1952. The bulletin was a production of the Magen David Community Center, located at 34 Avenue P, an organization which laid some of the groundwork for what today is our center. Infatuated with the community history, I printed the bulletin as a keepsake and placed it in a drawer, only to pull that drawer open a few months ago and reread the bulletin. So as I read it, I noted an interesting line. We must keep the center going now for the future. Became clear. If I wanted to keep the center going for the future, I needed to do my part now. I spent the last few days thinking about the theme and message of tonight's speech. On one hand, tonight would have been an appropriate forum to lay out my vision for the center. A vision which includes a renewed emphasis on our young adults, on our singles, on our young marrieds, on our seniors, all tremendously important groups within our community. I could have also spoken about the importance of building out a well-rounded program guide with more arts, culture, and educational offerings. But instead, I thought it would be more important to tell the story of how I found my inspiration and came to accepting this tremendous honor. Why is it important? Because it's time to take the center to the next level. To do so, we need our board members and our center professionals in this room to re-energize, to recharge your batteries, and renew your commitment to this institution. But before you do that, go out. Find your inspiration, find your passion, find your spark. Find what drives you to find what drives you to make that commitment. I know commitments are hard. And if you're to ask visionary leaders like Morris Bailey what they mean, I'm sure he'll tell you they're about hard work, late nights, and tough decisions. It's not easy, but together our board could do anything together. Now more than ever, our community needs the center. It needs our over 400 plus annual programs and over 300 part and full-time professionals to lead us. Our community needs the center to continue standing for respect, tolerance, and unity. There's no question that we could deliver this. And after you find your inspiration, make the commitment, and start making an impact in this community, incredibly, you start to inspire others. Let me tell you how powerful that inspiration could be. Who would have thought, 36 years prior to my birth, a young 22-year-old in a bulletin, quoted in a bulletin, from 1952 would help me find an inspiration in 2018. I'll reread the quote. "We must keep the center going now for the future," said Abe Hidary, Membership Committee Chairman, better known as my grandfather. There's no doubt I'm standing here today because of his commitment to giving back. Now it's our turn. Join me in making sure our center continues to thrive, continues to make an impact, and continues to inspire this great community. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. This meeting's over. But you know how like in the movies they keep going after, like, you know, like they'll do the outtakes? So while everybody's leaving, no. I was gonna do the Bond joke. I'll take it.